Welcome to the Brandon Beeyard Show. Great to have you here for another episode. It's the show where we are here to help you make your dreams, your big dream, your big goal happen. And we do that by not taking it all too seriously. And I tell you my story and my struggles along the way because, if nothing else, they're entertaining. And also, I hope you learned something from it. So great to have you here. It is mid-October. Oh, Jesus, it's getting to be late October. The year is ticking on fast. So let's do a lot and get those things done that we wanted to do this year. You can do it. I know you can. I'm doing it. I'm trying. So I'll be there too. Let's not mail it in just yet. You know, I read a study once that said that what was the most productive day in a typical working American's year? And the answer was a Monday in mid-October. I got to get the mid-October thing because it's like, oh God, the year's getting on, got to get a lot finished yet. We're getting behind, haven't quite just given up for the holidays yet. But I don't think Monday is the most productive day. Is Monday the most productive day of your week? I think like Tuesday would be the most productive day. Monday is kind of like, we're pretending to work. We're just getting back into the groove of the weekday drudgery. Half of y'all are still hungover from the weekend. Monday's not productive. It's pretend productive. Maybe that's why the survey said that, because people were lying. But I'd say Tuesday, or as the Irish say, Tuesday in mid-October is probably the most productive time of the year. So take advantage of it. What else can I tell you from this week? Nobody wants to hear this, but I'm going to have to tell you anyway. And I get it, because I've been on the other side of this. Nobody wants to hear about aging or getting older. When your elders start talking about being in their 40s and having things start breaking down in their bodies, you never want to hear it, because in the back of your head, you're like, well, that's not going to happen to me, you old fart. I'm not going to be that person. This is your weird body. Well, as someone who's now in his early 40s, I could say that shit is 100% true. It sucks. I know you don't want to hear it. If you're younger than me, you don't want to hear that. Nobody wants to think about getting older. So we just block it out and write people off when they say that. I hate to say it, but it's true. And I don't wake up now without some kind of back pain, some kind of back discomfort, at least. Where did that come from? I didn't have it a year ago. What the hell? Sure, I've had some tumbles and stuff, but I don't know where this originally came from. Now it won't go away. And a perfect example of this is earlier this week, I went to the ENT, the ear, nose, and throat doctor. Is there a more redundant profession in the world? When you go to your regular doctor, they always look in your throat and your ears. Why an ENT? But I went to an ENT because I had a very ear-specific problem, and I thought they could help. Imagine my surprise when the issue I had still exists. So I went to the ENT, and he initially said, well, this sounds like a degenerative genetic hearing disorder. My heart rate increased tenfold when he said that. Now I'm just thinking like, God, yep, I'm dying. I knew it. That's the fear. In your 40s, you just start getting afraid of things when they start breaking down. And so I'm like, oh my God, yep, this is it. So we did a hearing test, and he said, sure enough, nope, it's not that. All right, thank God. But then he goes, we're just going to chalk it up to aging. When you get older, you start hearing these phantom sounds. I'm like, hold on a second. Don't you sandbag me, sir. Don't gaslight me, you ENT. Phantom sounds. I'm not crazy. it felt like he was telling me that you might be a little bit imagining this. I'm definitely not imagining the sound that I'm hearing in my right ear all the time. It's just like a whoosh, like a rustling, almost like if I had ear hairs that were rubbing against my eardrum. But he said, that was not it. I said, are you sure? Because I think I might be able to know your job better than you until it comes time for surgery. And then I would not know what to do exactly. So, yeah, phantom sounds. Freaking great. Well, just in time for Halloween, apparently my ear is haunted, which is great. I get a hangover from 2 drinks and I have a haunted eardrum, I guess, with phantoms, the ear phantom that lives in my ear now. And that is probably just going to be there for the next, 40 years. Great. It's just like, thankfully, thankfully, I am not married yet. I don't have kids. And so I have been forced to keep myself in shape. And so I am still an in shape, fit person, but just the systems are starting to break. The systems are straining, It's like on an old wooden ship. We're getting little hairline leaks in the hull that will soon become a gusher, probably. So that's it. At least it's 2025. And the hair that I have, thank God, most of it is still there, not all of it. If that ever becomes a problem, I know just one round trip to Istanbul will fix that. I'll take it. One round trip to Istanbul will fix your hair for $5,000. Thank God for that. Don't have to worry about that. What else? I know. Nobody wants to hear about aging. I know. Whatever. So I'll get a little more profound and say, so a couple of things that I've been dealing with lately as I'm working on this bigger project. Because, I'm trying to build up a show, an audience, but I kind of go through these ups and downs. I kind of go through these like periods of time where I'm motivated and then other periods of time where I'm not. I get into a funk. And lately for me, it's a little personal, but yeah, the message that kind of sends me into a spiral is when I just think about like, God, it's too late. I messed up. I wasted most of my life and I'm not where I wanted to be. And now I'm making progress. I'm trying, but it's just too late. And maybe you've gone through some worries like that too, some similar things. And then when I think about that, I kind of know that once I'm kind of feeling like anxious and fearful a little bit, some shame maybe, it takes me a little while, but then I realize that's the message that's going through my head. Something triggered that. I don't always feel like that, but when I do, lately that's been the message. And what I've realized after just letting that sit for a while is that it's just a story. It's just an expectation. We all have expectations about where we wanted our careers to be, where we wanted our lives to be. If you've been able to nail all of those things and be where you wanted to be in the time you wanted to be there, congratulations. You need to give me some advice. But I think for a lot of us, we're not there. We're not where we hope to be by now. And it's hard. But that's just an expectation. It's not real. It's a story we said about where we expected to go in life, even though we have no idea what's involved in life and what's involved in the pursuit of what we're trying to do. Yet we had an expectation of where we wanted to be. And when we don't hit it, we just freak out and it causes shame and fear. But it's just a story. It's just a story. It's an arbitrary timeline and an arbitrary, deadline that you chose for yourself. And you're just telling yourself that you're failing because you're not hitting being there, wherever there is. And I just think that it's helpful to just realize that's okay. Make up, change the story, change the narrative, a better narrative, which is more true, I would say, than the old narrative. Because the old narrative was just like a hopeful expectation, which was not grounded in reality. A better narrative is, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. I am where I'm supposed to be. I am exactly on time. I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. And that instantly just shifts the whole story, the whole feeling, the whole frame of your mind into just a better, more productive place. Because it's true. This is where you were supposed to be. This is where you are. And maybe you can do things differently in the future than you did in the past, but you can't go back and do the past. And so that was never going to be your past. So let it go. Let it go, Junior. So the framework I've come to think of when I am trying to figure out, when there's something going on, you're just not feeling right, there's something going on in the back of your head, it's usually some fear or pain that's caused by an underlying belief. So what I found works is step one, just a couple steps, feel the pain. You have to feel it. You have to, I like to just kind of lay down, almost like you're meditating, just in peace, feel it. Feel that pain. And that's hard. All right. That took years for me to be able to do. I thought I had feelings, but I was just cut off from here down. Just a floating head with no emotion or feelings at all. So you got to feel it. And you have to really be non-judging, loving towards it, and just ask it. Ask this feeling, what do you want to say? And just listen, whatever it wants to say. And if it's a negative thought, if it's a negative thing, like, well, I fucked up, I failed, I should have been farther by now. Just realize it. Anytime it's a negative thing like that, it's not true. It's just based on your ego. It's based on what you expected, and it's not based in reality. So just accept that feeling, or accept that thought, that message, whatever it is, and write a better one. And just like I just said, instead of I messed up, I've wasted my life, a better one is, no, I had to have those lessons and I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. That's it. And sometimes it's just a negative thought that you don't have to reframe it. It just needs to be expressed and felt, and it goes away. Once you can hold a thought and the accompanying resistance, negative feeling that goes with it in a non-judging way, and just give it space, it loses its hold. And then it's so much easier to move forward. You're free to move forward for the first time. So that's it. Feel it. Ask it what it wants to say. Is this true? If it's negative, it's usually not. Then reframe it into empowering belief. I'm not broke. I actually have a lot of wealth. I have a lot going for me in my network, in, I don't know, some savings, and I've made a bunch of money before, whatever it is, or in a relationship. I'm just not meant to find anyone. No, I've found relationships. I've had love in the past. I can just as easily get that again. It's there. And then show yourself proof. You've done it in the past. Most of the things we think we can't do, we've actually done in the past. We're just glossing over that. So that's it. And the only other thing is, especially, I'll tell you this, when you're starting a project, or you're moving forward on a big goal or a big dream, it can feel overwhelming and confusing, and you don't always know what to do. So if you're going through a time when you don't know the next steps, you don't know, it feels like, God, how I'll never get there. That's usually perfectionism. And I know in my life, when I haven't made progress, when I go in these fits and starts, I make progress and then I get burned out. and I just can't do it for a while. There's perfectionism there. And that's something that I've always dealt with. So drop the perfectionism because it feels like you want to do it like, like I'm trying to make up for lost time now. I want to get it, I got to get it perfect. I have to sprint to get there. It needs to be perfect now. That's never going to work. A better way is to just drop the perfection and just know that if you can make consistent progress just a little bit every day, that stacks up, that compounds, and you'll get much farther in the long run. It's like the military saying, what is it? Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. So do things in a slow and steady way. If you can do that consistently, in the end, you're going to be way farther than if you try to get it perfect. You try to nail it the first time. You put pressure on yourself. So yeah, just remember that consistency. So that's what I tell myself. I'm just like, I want this show to grow and I want to get farther in all this. And I haven't done it. If you look at the publication schedule on this show, it has fits and starts. And that just came from a lot of pressure, a lot of perfectionism. And now I'm just trying to say, okay, if I just dedicate 3 mornings or 3 work chunks, whatever it fits in your life, a week on this show, just 3, boom, 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 every week, I'll just get so far, 2 hours here, 2 hours there, 2 hours there. I'll do it. I'll get there. I'll get where I want to be. And that's it. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's more about just being able to be consistent. And when you remove that perfectionism and that resistance, like I just talked about, it makes it so much easier for you to be able to make progress. Okay. So that is my learnings and my tales of woe from the week. I'm going to get to a listener question. Hang on one second. All right. Listener question this week is, this one made me think, so I'm going to share it. It's basically this. If I had to move, I'm in Austin right now. But Brandon, if you had to move, what city would you move to if you couldn't stay in Austin anymore? That's a good question. And let's start with why I moved to Austin. So I was in New Orleans, which I loved. But it came to a point where I wanted a bigger place, a place where there were more opportunities for all the things I was interested in. So I moved to Austin. Why Austin? It's close to Louisiana, where I'm from, where my family is. It's close enough. It's not as close as I'd want it to be, but it's serviceable, tenable. Austin has a great stand-up comedy scene, which I've done. I'm not doing it right now because I'm working on this, but a great podcaster scene. There's just good networks for all that stuff. And it's just a good, livable, manageable city, in my opinion. All right. It has the best, you can do some showbiz stuff, which for me is online, YouTube, podcast. It's got comedy, but it's way more livable, affordable, and for me, geographically closer to where I want to be than New York or LA. I just don't want to go to those places right now. So that's why I chose Austin. It was like it had enough of everything in a good location for me. And it is not on the water, and we don't have to deal with hurricanes, which was just one of the banes of my existence growing up. So that's why I chose it. Now, I can't stay here. And if I had to, now let's say, if I had a bunch of money, that changes the calculus, right? If you have a bunch of money, you can go anywhere. New York, LA, expensive cities become way more attractive. Miami. But for me, you're asking me what I would do. I wouldn't go to either of those. Now, at a different point in my professional career, maybe I would. But I still want a livable place. And so I would choose, if we had to stick with the US, 2 places. God, would I really not move to LA or New York? It has, okay. No, here's where I'd move. I would move to Denver. I almost moved to Denver when I moved to Austin. It was my second favorite of the options. I would not move to Nashville. I thought I would move to Nashville. I did not like it. It's a fun weekend. It's not a fun place to live as far as my experience was. But I would go to Denver. Denver's livable. It's right there by the mountains. It's not as cold as you think it would be. It's got a comedy scene. A lot of people are moving there. You know, it's growing. It's got a lot of outdoor nature stuff. That would be it. You can go up in the mountains. Weed. I don't really care about weed. Just makes me a bozo. But that's where I would go. Second, and this one's unique to me. I don't think anybody else is going to say this. My second choice, if I couldn't go to Denver, would be Jacksonville, Florida, because I have a lot of friends there. It's a very livable place. There's absolutely nothing going on there. So I would hope to be married before I move there, because you ain't meeting anybody. It is a big, spread out place. The young professional scene, probably getting better, but from what I remember, wasn't great. But it's in this weird place in Florida where they never get hurricanes. And that's a big deal. So I would choose Jacksonville as my next one. Oh, and it has skydiving. Skydiving is very important to me. That's one of the reasons I'm here. The rest of Florida, no. I don't need the humidity. I don't need the heat. I don't need the tropicalness. And I definitely don't need the hurricanes. So those would be my options. Now, if I had to go to a different country, what city in another country would I choose? I would almost want to say Japan, but they don't let like anyone immigrate there or get citizenship there. So they don't let foreigners really do that. And the culture is just different. I would choose London. London would be the other option. It's a more livable New York. It's nice. It's a media hub. It's got entertainment. It's got a comedy scene. It's got everything. Well, the weather is shite, but it's in England. What are you going to do? I would choose London. Yep. Okay. So on this last segment, we got about 5 minutes left. Really arbitrary timeline. I don't know why I said that. This could be as long as we want. But yeah, we're going to wrap this up with one more segment here. So I'm testing out this. It's a game. We're going to play a little game. It's called Name That Movie. I had my co-producer write some somewhat vague movie descriptions of movies that have come out in the past, let's say 40 years, 1985 to now. And we'll play together. I don't know the answers to these. I'll read the description, and then you see if you can figure out what movie it's describing. You know, and on that note, I'm hoping, this is just a hope of mine, that I'm hoping that generative AI, and it should do this in the next 5 years, I would say. I hope it gets to the point where, because everything Hollywood puts out is shit now. It's just creatively bankrupt, awful, box checking, the worst. So I hope that people will be able to use generative AI and make basically fan fiction versions of sequels we wish had happened. Like that Tron movie that just came out, Tron Ares. I hear it's an abortion. I haven't gone to see it, but I wish it would be awesome if fans or talented fans could take that movie and rewrite a better version of what they would want to see as the third Tron movie. And if it's good, we have like a competition. And it's like, all right, we're going to have some talented people write better versions of movie sequels that we would like to see. People are going to vote. We're going to pick the best one, and then that one gets anointed as canon. That's the canon. That's the third Tron movie. That would be awesome. Because ultimately, the special effects and all that aren't going to matter. It's going to be a level playing field. The only thing that's going to matter, and the only thing that should matter now, which Hollywood is not figuring out, is writing. There should be better writing. Yeah. So people who can write, make them. Let's make a better last 4 episodes of Game of Thrones. Make what else? What else was such a better Jurassic Park movie? Jurassic Park 8, Let's do that. I think that's a good idea. Can I start that business? I don't know. Probably not. All right. So on that, movie suck now, but we can at least look back at some good ones. All right. We'll do a couple here. All right. A man wakes up on a train with no memory of who he is, only to discover that the world around him keeps resetting every few minutes. If he can't resolve the mystery before the time runs out, the city might not exist at all. Man wakes up on a train, no memory of who he is. The world keeps resetting every few minutes. Okay. I know this one. And I can't think of the name of it. Do you know? It's Jake Gyllenhaal. And I cannot remember the name of the freaking movie. All right, we'll get back to that. After years of isolation, a maintenance worker on a distant planet discovers he might not be as alone as he thought. When a corporate mission arrives, loyalty and identity start to blur under the weight of company secrets. A maintenance worker on a distant planet, he might be as alone when a corporate mission arrives, loyalty and identity start to blur. I have no fucking idea. That's a good one. Okay. Let me give you the answer to the first one. Let's see. What are... ChatGPT is my co-producer, by the way. What are these? Okay. The train time reset one. Source code. Okay. You fucker. ChatGPT. So the second one, the maintenance worker on a distant planet. I actually knew it, but it said distant planet. The movie is Moon, and the hallucinations. I'm sorry about the distant planet. Don't hallucinate. Okay, let's try one more. A sarcastic engineer teams up with a woman who's lived her entire life underground to stop a totalitarian regime from rewriting history. Literally. A sarcastic engineer teams up with a woman who's lived her entire life underground to stop a totalitarian regime from rewriting history. Literally. The hell? I got no idea. This is good. Let's see. Something went wrong. Of course it did. Okay. Looper? Oh, maybe it is. Okay, I don't know. It says Looper. That's the one with Bruce Willis, I think. Fun fact, they filmed part of that movie right down the street from me in New Orleans by my house when I was living there. Okay, well, wow. Can we do one more? All right. A man who's finally escaped his violent past is forced back into it after a single thoughtless act by strangers. His quiet home life collapses overnight, and his enemies learn far too late that they picked the wrong man to provoke. Yes. And that, of course, is John Wick, the Baba Yaga. It says that one's nobody. It's the suburban dad version of John Wick. All right, whatever. You know what? We're going with John Wick. That is clearly John Wick. Okay. Fun stuff. How fun. Well, that is it for this episode of the Brandon Beeyard Show. I hope that was fun. Hope that gave you a little escape, a little break, some useful info going forward. Me and my Phantom, we'll see you next week for a Halloween episode of the Brandon Beeyard Show. Thanks for being here. If you want to reach out, if I can help you in any way, get closer to making your dream come true, reach out to me. You'll figure it out. All right. Talk to you then. Thank you for watching.